Good day, learners. How are you today? It's a new day, it's a new video lesson, and it's a new learning opportunity. It's me again, Sir Dons, and for today's learning competency, we have using appropriate critiques such as formalism, feminism, reader response criticism, and Marxist criticism. Before we proceed, please free yourselves from any distraction and gear up yourselves with activity notebook and pen for note-taking.
Sir Don's TV.
Let's proceed. Let's discuss critical approaches in writing a critique. Critique means our evaluation in a detailed and critical way. First, what is formalism? Formalist criticism. A formalist approach studies a text as only a text, considering its features such as rhymes, cadences, and literary devices in an isolated way, not attempting to apply their own opinion as to what the text means. In general, formalists are focused on the facts of a text because they want to study the text, not what others say about it. How do you write a formalist criticism? For reading as a formalist critic, one must first be a close or careful reader who examines all the elements of a text individually. Questions how they come together to create a work of art, respects the autonomy of work, achieves understanding of it by looking inside it, not outside or beyond, and allow the text to reveal itself. For example,
formalists within mathematics claim that mathematics is no more than the symbols written down by the mathematician, which is based on logic and a few elementary rules alone. This is as opposed to non-formalists, within that field, who hold that there are some things inherently true, and are not, necessarily, dependent on the symbols within mathematics so much as a greater truth. Formalists within a discipline are completely concerned with the rules of the game, as there is no other external truth that can be achieved beyond those given rules. In this sense, formalism lends itself well to disciplines based upon axiomatic systems.
how about science, English, and others? You are correct when you write findings based on how your science and English functions. You are writing a formalist criticism. Next, what is feminist criticism? Feminist criticism concerns itself with stereotypical representations of genders. Stereotypical means fixed representations of image. Like, pag babae ka, dapat sa bahay ka. Pag lalaki naman, dapat nagtatrabaho. Lalaki lang daw ang dapat na pwedeng mamasada. At babae lang ang pwedeng maging labandera. How is feminist criticism done? Feminist criticism is applied to literature by examining the characters' portrayals, the text language, the author's attitude, and the inter-character relationships. Feminist critics also consider the author's apparent commentary about society as a whole. For instance, the movie Mulan challenges some traditional gender stereotypes because it portrays a female protagonist resisting the sexist provisions of her society and succeeding in a traditionally male area, but also perpetuates some gender stereotypes because it shows Mulan marrying Shang in the end of the movie, showing that Mulan is still just another woman looking for a man. Let's proceed with reader response criticism. What is reader response criticism? Reader response criticism considers readers' reactions to literature as vital to interpreting the meaning of the text. What should be included in a reader response? A reading response asks the reader to examine, explain, and defend your personal reaction to a reading. You will be asked to explore why you like or dislike the reading, explain whether you agree or disagree with the author, identify the reading's purpose, and critique the text. Sample:
Romeo and Juliet is said to be one of the greatest works of classic literature and the epitome of romance writing. Though now personally I find the work a bit overdramatic and an unrealistic view of love and life in the time period, but can understand how, depending on the age group reading this work and the personal experiences of the reader, can drastically affect how the work is viewed.
or by stating where it came.
Romeo and Juliet, 1966, film from Shakespeare, is said to be one of the greatest works of classic literature and the epitome of romance writing. Though now personally I find the work a bit overdramatic and an unrealistic view of love and life in the time period, but can understand how, depending on the age group reading this work and the personal experiences of the reader, can drastically affect how the work is viewed.
And finally, Marxist criticism. Marxist analysis of human events and productions focus on relationships among socio-economic classes, both within a society and among societies. And it explains all human activities in terms of distribution and dynamics of economic power. For example, the story of Cinderella.
The story revolved around a girl named Cinderella who lived with her father, stepmother, and stepsisters. At first everything was all right until her father passed away. Since then her stepmother maid Cinderella did all the housekeeping jobs. Meanwhile in the castle, the king wanted his son to immediately get married to a woman, so he held a ball and invited all of the young women across the kingdom to find a suitable bride for the prince.
Indeed, Marx's ideologies can help us to analyze this movie. The story behind this film was a portrait of sociocultural reference at that time, the aristocrat system that led the country or kingdom, and how the society see what is the meaning of life. These points were interesting to analyze because this film depicted the social ideology and views at that time. It is most likely that this film had a strong implication of Marx's three ideology toward the society, how the class struggle between people to change their current state, how people are being classed, and how the false consciousness works. And that concludes the topic using appropriate critics such as formalism, feminism, reader response criticism, and Marxist criticism. Let's proceed with our written task and performance task. For our written work, write T if the statement is true and F if it is false. Please remember that the task is in the form of Google Form. The link of this written work is to be found at the description of this video lesson. And for your performance task, choose one of the critical approaches below and create a 3-paragraph explanation or write-up by choosing a story where the chosen approach is used. Choose only one from the list above. Explain why you choose that critical approach. Be creative as possible as you can. Post or rewrite the finished write-ups in the link in the description of this video. Again, please do not forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be informed on the next video lesson. Thank you and God bless.